Thank you.
Thank you.
Q&A. Well, first of all, thank you so much for coming opening day, maybe closing day in some cities, who knows. But you know, we've been making this movie for 2 years, and finally getting it in front of an audience. The last year I've spent going around the world to festivals and the like and showing it, and it's just really exciting to finally unleash it on the public and to paying customers like yourself. So thank you so much for supporting our little independent passion project. So thank you. You guys want to?
No, take questions.
Yeah. Who wants to know anything about this movie? All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Question in the back? Question in the back?
Oh, in the back. Yeah.
I can't see anything.
Yeah.
Yes, you sir.
It has the feel of an anthology. Is there any hopes of something like this translated over to television?
Okay. Yeah. We're not plugged in. Oh, you're fine. Oh, I'm the only wired mic here. Yeah. The original intent was to make this as an international version of Masters of Horror, basically. And all these years later, we found out that was really too ambitious. And so we tried to do it as a series of feature films. Nightmare Cinema presents Ryuhei Kitamura's Machine, or Alejandro Brugues' Thing in the Woods. But 90-minute movies. In this case, the way we found we could get the funding and get it off the ground was to squish it all together into one feature film. And the hope is, we're already talking about a Nightmare Cinema 2, but the hope is to turn it into an hourly anthology series. So very well noted.
Is this on?
Yeah.
Really? Can you hear me?
No.
Doesn't sound on.
It's on. Speak up.
I can't imagine doing that for 90 minutes.
But the rest of us can. There's one over here.
Who's your production designer? I saw her name, but what else is Lauren?
Lauren Fitzsimmons.
Amazing
is our
work.
production designer. She was so incredible. Nancy Leopardi, who is another unsung hero of this movie, our line producer, put together a crew. I don't know what Lauren had done before, but I trusted Nancy, and Nancy is the best line producer on earth and brought us really first-class people to do it on this kind of schedule and budget. And I never once saw her in a bad mood or heard her.
Oh, I saw her.
Well, whose fault was
I don't
that?
have to say, it wasn't mine, but I saw her. Yeah.
But do you want to talk about
No,
Lauren?
I just see. I mean, the mic doesn't like you. This guy was indicating she was in bad mood because of me, but the truth is
It
this
wasn't
guy.
because of you.
What do you?
Come on, question.
Right here.
Yeah, so when you've done a bunch of these anthologies, obviously you want to do different things to set them apart. Was there a different, aside from the international, were there other things you were going, okay, this is sort of a template, and then each director has to kind of they get their freedom, but there's also sort of overall thing that you're trying to accomplish?
Actually, the opposite was true. You know, I wanted to gather people who had their own vision, who were filmmakers, who had a personal style, and to encourage that. This was something, my first job was writing for Amazing Stories, and I directed one of those. And but what Steven Spielberg did was bring in people like Martin Scorsese and Robert Zemeckis and Clint Eastwood and tell them, you know, I want movies in your style, but half-hour movies. And so obviously that stuck somewhere in the back of my head. We did that with Masters of Horror, and with this, I wanted them to be as wildly divergent as possible, and then the only unifying factor was after the fact coming up with the idea of the projectionist and how it would be presented. But I mean, you guys should talk about how you kind of fulfilled it stylistically entirely on your own. His was the first to shoot, yeah.
Yeah, I was the first one to shoot among the 5 directors, and believe it or not, I was the one asking the producer that, are you seriously let me do that, chopping off the kids in the church and father and sister gonna do this? I don't want the entire movie gets NC-17 because of my segment. And but somehow nobody stopped me, and especially this gentleman, he knows, how I'm good at when it comes to that, right?
Have you seen Versus?
Thank you. So I was surprised, but I had total freedom, to do the crazy chopping up the boys and girls, and the special makeup team was a great K&B. So I asked them on the first day that, just bring me the blood pump and body parts you used in Kill Bill. I'm gonna need it, and that's what they did. So, but I had to shoot that crazy fight in the church basically one day. That was a chaotic shoot, but somehow we made it.
And stylistically, where were you going?
I was just trying to do my best Raimi, I guess. I was just like, let's do Evil Dead. I don't know, since we were prepping, you already saw it. So the spider point of view, I was like, I want this to be like this shot in Evil Dead. And they said to me, oh, it was K&B doing the effects. So they said, oh, we have the guy that did the rig for Raimi back then, so he's going to build something for you. And he built this camera rig with the spider legs, which was awesome. And they said if this was Raimi, he would call this something like the Arachnocam. And that's what we called it, obviously, the whole shoot.
It looked like a little lawnmower that you pushed.
No, that was because, we were running there. We didn't know if it was going to work. It was super cool, and we were like, oh, we're going to break this. And we nailed it in the first take, actually. But it's true that Mick was very supportive, and he let us do whatever we want. Sometimes I would go and say, Mick, I'm not sure about this. What do you think? And he would say, do whatever you want. I'm like, yeah, that's really nice, dude, but I really need advice here.
And I couldn't be happier with what these guys did. I mean, they really did. It's really a Ryuhei Kitamura film, and it's really an Alejandro Brugues film. And I'm a huge fan of their work, and that's what I wanted, and that's what we got. I think you see it there.
Honestly, it was so good. It was so good. Like,
it's schizophrenic, but intentional.
I love the schizophrenic part.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Can you
Richard.
talk about the music?
Why don't you talk about your score, because it's the most uniquely recorded.
Yeah, so I really wanted to do some kind of 70s, 80s Italian horror movie feel, so that's why I go with a very colorful visual. And the music, I told my composer Aldo that I really want to try something, in our way, but not the copy, but the kind of like a Goblin, Fabio Frizzi kind of, Italian rock, prog rock sound. So what the composer did was that he gathered top musicians, and we got ourselves in the studio, and he was giving the direction. We basically played a rough cut of the movie and let them do the jam session. So we kind of, live recorded the score. So which was good was, then of course, he was always there to support me, but of course, there are a lot of other producers, and of course, in the end, they were like, can you change this and that? So I said, no, I recorded a live recording soundtrack based on the cut, so I cannot change it. This is not computer generated music, so I cannot chop it up. So I kept my cut. So that was good.
It's a really good way to get your way. Just like David Slade did his in black and white on black and white only cameras. I didn't know such a thing existed, but I didn't even tell the other producers he was going to do that, because I didn't want to hear black and white. No, we can't do that in China. So anyway, your music.
I just said to my composer, I want this to sound like a blockbuster. And that was it. I worked with him before in the ABCs of Dead 2 short that we did together, and I love him. He's great. He just did an amazing job, I think.
And mine, the composer Richard Band did mine and Joe Dante's, and I knew his music first of all from Reanimator, his Psycho ripoff score. It was fantastic. But he also did one of my episodes of Masters of Horror that I directed, Valerie on the Stairs. And I found that he could do a really wonderful, emotional, orchestral sounding score, one-man sample score. And so he came in and did Dead, and then he did Joe's as well, and then he did the wraparound music. And Nicholas Pike composed the piano score that Young Folly plays that got orchestrated into the big closing music in the giant drone shot at the end. But yeah, Richard Band was pretty amazing. So there's four different composers. David Slade's was done more of a sound design than melodic score. And this was a composer who was brought in by Nancy and introduced to David. And David fell in love with him and did something that is more sound design than score. And it was so well integrated. It was beautiful stuff.
Any plans for a soundtrack release?
Any plans for a soundtrack release? Richard Band has been working really hard on that. And Cinelounge has been standing in the way for some reason. But we're figuring out a way to kick them.
I worked on Eight-Legged Freaks, and I was wondering if you felt that vibe in your movie. Were you inspired by that? And then who did your spiders and your visual effects?
Actually, that's a good one. I love Eight-Legged Freaks. I hadn't seen it in a long time. The thing is that originally it wasn't spiders. That was more. That was actually one of the things where we had to change something. I wanted to do another kind of creature, or they were going to be more like an octopus or something, which would have sucked actually.
I worked on Slither too.
And it was one of the things where VFX said something like, "Oh no, spiders."
Who did your visual effects?
Well.
That's
Back then,
Yeah.
it was a different company than the one that ended up doing.
I don't mind saying the original company was Synaptic and they fucked us and don't ever work with them.
Alert.
Yeah.
And the spiders, we designed it with K&B. And I actually hate spiders. And suddenly they started making me pictures of spiders and all that, and I was like, oh, that's terrible, let's just start drawing. And we came up with this design, which I love. Actually, there was another one that I loved, and then VFX again said, no, that has too many moving parts. And we landed on these ones, which are awesome. I have two at home. I keep them in a nice, I guess, spider box or something. And who ended up doing the spider effect?
Paul Bolger, who is Ray Bolger, the scarecrow in Wizard of Oz, his grandson, Paul Bolger, and Cause FX did it. Speaking of cinema royalty, the killer in Dead, the last segment, is Orson Chaplin. He is Charlie Chaplin's grandson, and Orson Welles is his godfather.
Wow.
So, Hollywood royalty.
Yes, third row.
Just curious, how did Mickey Rourke come to be involved with this project, and did he do his own wardrobe, or was that something?
That's a very perceptive question for the part. And then Mark Canton, one of the producers, owner of Cinelounge, he used to be the president of Warner Brothers, then he was the president of Columbia, and he said, I think I can get Mickey Rourke if you can do it in a day. What do you think of that? And as intimidating as that sounded, it was hard to turn that down. He said, I'd love to be able to go to foreign sales and say, we've got this Oscar-nominated actor, movie star for the part. And so I talked to a neighbor who'd worked with him after I'd already said yes, and the neighbor said, oh my God, I worked with him on a TV show for 2 days, and it was the worst 2 days of my life. So, but then I called Robert Rodriguez, who said he had the greatest time with him on Sin City. And so he came onto the set, and well, before that, back to the wardrobe question, we suddenly discovered that we had a $5,000 leather suit that was charged to the movie that nobody had ever seen or discussed before he came to the set. So that was his design. And I wasn't going to say no to Mickey Rourke, particularly because we didn't have anything else to put him in that day. But he came in that day, and I know it was going to be a one-day thing, coming in and a money gig, but he was great. He had the time of his life. He had lots of fun. I had a lot of fun with him. But at 10 o'clock, he went, "Gotta go." That was the last I ever saw of Mickey Rourke to this day. Who else? After Mickey Rourke, what is there?
Yes.
The young boy in your segment, Dead. Have I seen him before, and where did you find him? He was fantastic.
Thank you. Fali Rakatahavana is his name, and I just learned how to say it after 2 years. He is of Moroccan descent, from Madagascar, actually. And I had never seen him before. This was his first leading role ever. And it was really important to me to get a kid who could really play piano. I did not want to hide those hands, which is why I make a big deal out of it in the beginning, going from the hands playing piano up to his face with no cuts and that sort of thing. Because I wanted an actor who had the soul of a musician. And I wanted to mix it up ethnically a little bit too, and not have the typical upper middle class white kid classical piano player. And so we had a couple of kids come in who were really, really good. But he was so special and unique and great. And I can't imagine having made this movie as well with any other actor than Fali. And I hope he becomes really, really successful. But I just think he's a wonderful actor. And I also want to speak to the high quality of the cast overall. I mean, our little movie, we got some really wonderful people. And, you know, under these directors and David and Joe, some really amazing performances that I think are really crucial to the success of this film.
We have time for one more question. Yes, you in the back, sir.
Was there anything left on the cutting room floor, or did everything go to screen?
Did anything end up on the cutting room floor?
Well, our editor Mike Mendez is here. I left.
Yeah, Mike Mendez is our
I don't see much with the lights.
Yeah, there's a couple dead children that we left out of Ryuhei's, but other than that, it's all there for the most part.
We couldn't afford to cut anything out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's give a round of applause to this great